Hello ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're going to go through what are actually peripherals in this video. It actually might actually go across a few videos. But one tool you might like to get hold of is a dictionary, because a lot of the conversation in IT circles is actually in English, it's just not often used. Now I'm looking for peripheral and I can't find it. It may be under PH, P-E-R, peripheral as in peripheral vision, as in on the edges of, PH, fair, P-H-E, pen, fair. Okay, so that's completely knackered, me saying that, but peripheral isn't in here because this is from about the 1960s. But yeah, keep a dictionary to hand, because a lot of the jargon is actually underused English, and also it can be useful to say some of the phrases backwards, believe it or not. We'll come to that in due course, but we're going to look at the peripherals. That's in the equipment that attaches to the computer. I hope you'll excuse my coffee. Number one peripheral, not surprisingly, will be the keyboard. Now the keyboard is based on, it hasn't changed very much since the manual typewriters of old, and it goes in the old QWERTY fashion. Now whether you believe the story that QWERTY was invented to slow typists down or not, who knows, but there you are. There's your wonderful keyboard, and one will come as standard with pretty much most packages you buy. For most people, the standard type of keyboard that comes as average will perfectly suffice for what they want to do. But you can expect, you might be able to see here that the legends are starting to wear off. That kind of thing is typical of the lower quality keyboards. If you're spending a lot of time at the computer, then maybe you want to invest in a better keyboard, and I would advise that if you do so, get your hands on it first. Make sure that you're comfortable with the typing action, because to many people a keyboard is a tool, it's a precision tool that allows you to do the job better, but most of us will do with the standard ones. You'll find that they're usually USB connected these days. We'll come on to USB later and explain it, but this basically says that the keyboards are usually interchangeable. If you buy a new computer, you can even take your old keyboard with you, and if you do happen to buy a computer, you're not stuck with a keyboard that comes with it. You can also buy wireless keyboards. I'm just going to put that down there at the moment. Away. I don't know where the edges of this camera are, so that'll come with time. You can buy wireless keyboards. I do know of people that attach their computers to their TVs and they're in their armchair with wireless keyboard and mouse. Now, in the early days of wireless keyboards, the batteries never lasted very long at all. Modern technology has improved, but not a lot of people know this about batteries, which you're going to have to use if you're using a wireless keyboard. Many people know about the two common ones. One is the type where it's used once, throw away. It keeps its charge for a fair while until it's flat. And most people also know about the standard rechargeables, but you can recharge them, but they lose the power in about a month and then they're flat. David Hobby from Strobist.com blogged about this type. That's called a pre-charged rechargeable. It's a cross between the two technologies, sort of. Like the conventional rechargeable, it can be recharged, but it maintains its charge for a lot longer, somewhere around a year. And indeed, by the time I've put this video together and put it up, which is in late 2011, technology has probably gone on even further. So if you're thinking about battery devices, think about your batteries, and there are different technologies that are out there that you can use. Now, says me tossing those away, we come to the next common peripheral, the mouse. Now, mice again come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and some of them are curved to the hand, some of them are very cheap. It's up to you whether you're comfortable with them. If you start to feel problems with your hands when you're using them, see a GP. You might have to go for a more specialist mouse, particularly if you're using a mouse very often. Mine is more shaped, the one upstairs, but it's a gaming mouse. Most common mice actually use light rather than the old traditional trackball to detect movement. And if your mouse is feeling sluggish, you'll notice Teflon pads underneath, or some of them are Teflon anyway. And the first thing to do is to check these to see if there's any gunk on them, and to just get the gunk off with your nail. That's fairly straightforward. There are also wireless mice, just like there are wireless keyboards. It's down to preference, and again the same battery issues, and again they're USB connected, so they can travel with you from computer to computer if you change computers, or if you're just not happy with the mouse that's come with the machine, you can also get another one from somewhere else. Something that not a lot of people think of is actually the mouse mat. But when you're dealing with things like optical mice, the quality of the light coming back at them is important. Now, a lot of people just run them. They're fairly rugged and they'll run on a wide variety of surfaces. But if you find that it's running sluggish, you've checked the pads underneath, probably what you want to do is get hold of a sheet of A4 and put that underneath it instead. If it runs better on the sheet of A4 rather than your conventional surface, then you'll know that your mouse mat, you're going to need a specialist mouse mat. Now, you don't have to spend an awful lot of money. This is my gaming mouse mat, and this this did go into double figures, but you can get simple mouse mats which are designed for optical mice, and they don't cost much, only a few quid. Ironically, one of the most troublesome mats that cause trouble for the optical mice are the old mouse mats that you use with the rollerball mouse mats, the ones which underneath they had a roller ball inside them. And those cause trouble because they're typically shiny surfaces and the light can't handle it. So have a think about your mouse mat as well as your mouse. Now, the next one is a monitor. You pretty much can't do without a monitor, but there are options. This is one. Can you see that? I think you can. I'm just going to tilt this. Monitors again come in all shapes and sizes, and you're not limited with a modern machine as to what you hook them up to. As well as the standard mode, you'll find that some of them are capable. If I just release this one, some of them are actually capable of going into portrait modes and all sorts of other bits and pieces. This is pretty much standard. You can get widescreen and different layouts of monitor completely. Some of them have got loudspeakers built into them. There's all sorts of ranges. And one of the other things when you buy a computer is maybe it's possible in your household, maybe it isn't, that you can hook the computer up to the TV, particularly if you've got one of the modern flat screens. Now, technically it can be possible, but maybe you're in a household with a family and you're going to need a separate monitor because the family are going to watch TV. But it is a possibility because monitors aren't that cheap. They're about £100 plus for a half decent one, and for a decent one you're talking over £200 in some cases. So if you are looking at building a machine, it may be worth considering as to whether you use your TV as opposed to using a conventional monitor. Some of the other options exist. Some of the monitors also double as TV sets. So you've got options and you've got things to consider. You haven't got to put up with just the standard. One thing that I'll show you are some leads. And these are the leads that connect the monitor to the computer. Now you'll typically see two, and they'll typically be coloured. One is the ends are coloured in blue and the other is the ends are coloured in white. Now the blue ones are the old connector. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but on the edge is actually, there are 3 rows of pins in there. And remember that because we're going to have a look at the back of a computer in a bit. 3 rows of pins, and this is the old type of connector. This is going out. So if you're marrying an old computer with a new monitor, or the other way around, you're going to need to check the connectors. This is the new digital connector, and again I'm not sure that you can see inside there, but the pins are really a bit odd. And that is a digital connector. Now sometimes these can cross connect to modern TVs using a system called HDMI. Some of them can, some of them can't. It's really the connector, the computer rather, than the cable. But that's one thing to watch out for. Pretty much most modern computers and modern monitors can handle DVI, which is that white connector. The other thing you might consider, as well as one monitor, is to run two. Now, most people, one monitor is perfectly fine, but if you're running graphics, for example, it can be better to have one monitor on which is the picture that you're working on, and on another monitor all the tools from which you select what you want to do. So for some people, like graphics work, or support work even, like we do, it's two monitors. Two monitors is the preferred configuration because it gives you more workspace. Rather than having to go for a massive monitor, instead you can go for two of the cheaper monitors side by side, and that is another option that you've got. Right, what I'm going to do now is stop the video here and go on to a part 2, and we're going to go on to some of the lesser the other peripherals which you might not more readily use. So, see you in part 2.